Hello, welcome back to the Quick Fix series. Today we're going to fix your slice, your push and everything that goes right at the target for a right-handed golfer. See you in just a moment. Hello. Today I want to talk to you about the push and the slice. The push and the slice is basically caused by the club face pointing in the wrong direction at impact, or on a different direction the club head is actually moving. So if we're talking about a right-handed golfer, we're talking about the club face pointing to the right or pointing to the right of the direction that the club head is moving through towards a target or away from the target, depending on if you're slicing the golf ball. The reason for that is, first of all, the control of the path of the golf club. And you're going to control the path of the golf club with the movement of your body and arms. If you can coordinate the movement of your body and arms, you should have a neutral path through the golf ball. So when we get into analysing swing mistakes, a lot of times you're going to use exactly the same cures or solutions to the problems, irrespective of the mistake. The ball is going to the left. It might be going to the left because the club face is close, but it might also be going to the left because the legs aren't working correctly. The golf ball's going to the right. It might be because the club face is open, but it might also be because the legs aren't working correctly. So you're going to get similar kind of solutions to the same kind of problems, which makes you wonder, why don't I just work on the solutions and forget the problems? Because when I do it right, I won't have any problems anymore. And that's basically one of the big tips that I want to do in the summary of this Quick Fix series coming up shortly. But let's get back to the idea of controlling club path and controlling face angle. When we're talking about a person who's slicing the club or slicing the ball, we're usually talking about somebody who's working down too quickly with their arms. The club is being thrown away from the body, pulled back into the body, and that's what's really causing the big difference between the path and the face angle. Why is this? Simply because at the top of their golf swing, rather than going into this sitting movement, they stand up. When they stand up, they're basically making their legs useless, and the only thing they can really hit at the golf ball with is their arms, and that's causing this kind of out to in swing direction, which obviously is causing the poor path. In order to change that, you've got to basically do the drills I've been showing you all along. Make sure that you're sitting into the downswing and then getting those hips out of the way so that you can pull the club around you. What you've also got to be looking at is the timing of this movement. An awful lot of poorer golfers are actually waiting for their arms to get to the top before they start the downswing, which sounds logical to a certain extent, because why would you start the downswing before you finish the backswing? Well, the reason is quite simple. We want to use the forces of nature to keep the club behind us when we're turning. And in order to do that, we're going to use a little trick. When you take the golf club back, actually, although your body and chest has stopped moving, your arms and hands haven't. And they haven't because the golf club actually has inertia. It has its own speed and it wants to continue moving. So it will actually pull at your arms, and if you let it, it will pull at your body, which will obviously cause you to stand up. What we want you to do then is, when you've stopped the rotation of your chest because you simply can't rotate anymore, and before the arms actually reach the top of the backswing, go into this downswing movement. So like in the drill, as soon as I stop turning to the right, I go into this kind of sitting on the bar stool. I want to do that in the golf swing. So before my arms have actually reached the top of the swing and the upper arm has collided with my chin, I'm sitting on the bar stool. And that actually releases the forces of nature onto the club, which will actually push the club behind me. Just a fraction of a second later, I'm going to be on the stool and pushing up. This movement will actually cause not only hip rotation, but also upper body rotation, pulling the club even harder. And this extra inertia on the golf club will cause it to be pulled behind you even more. So you've got basically a double whammy. You get to the top, and before you get to the top, you sit, which makes it go behind you, and then you stand up, which makes it go even further behind you. One of the strange things about this is that In order for that to happen, the shoulders have got to rotate. So you can't be holding back. And I know a lot of people are trying to hold the angle between their upper body and lower body, and therefore they're resisting this. And on the contrary, they're actually trying to move the right shoulder vertically down. What this will actually do is actually stop the inertia and allow the golf club to release, which could actually create exactly what you're trying to avoid. And even if you do stay on an inside path, you're likely to hit the ground before the ball because you're getting an early release going on. So what I want you to do when you start this movement is allow your left hip to go back and your right shoulder to come forward. And as it comes forward, it goes down. And it will go down quite naturally if you let it and if you allow your upper body to bow. One of the drills we did in my last video actually shows you how you can increase the amount of bow in your upper body by simply getting this stretch going on. And you can see my legs stretching and straightening, and I'm allowing and encouraging my upper body to bow and my right shoulder to drop. And by dropping the shoulder and rotating the shoulder, I'm keeping inertia on the golf club and pulling the club on a far more neutral path through the golf ball. So if you're doing all that correctly, the last thing is basically just controlling club face. And the club face will be controlled also by the inertia that you're applying to it and the positioning of your body. So the next thing to look at is, are your legs working equally on your hips? If you tend to get a little bit stronger with the left leg than the right leg, that means the left leg straightening, the right leg is bowing, then although you feel you're doing everything right, you're actually tilting backwards. And this could be another reason that the golf ball's going to the right. So again, if you're doing the movement correctly, then you should have a neutral path and a neutral face. If it still goes to the right, and you can see in the video that you've got all those things working, it can really only be your hands and your lower arms, if we're honest. I think we've all seen people like Dustin Johnson and Jon Rahm with this slightly bowed wrist, and we know that that is basically closing the club face. But in truth, it's more keeping the club face square. What we want to do is get the club face working at the same angle as the spine, and therefore rotation of the body and the spine will pull the golf club automatically back to square. But when you take the club up, unconsciously you're rotating your lower arm to get into this waiter position, and you're going to have to rotate it back down in order to get the club face square again. And as I spoke about it in a couple of other videos as drills you can do with coat hangers and the like, but I find one of the simplest thing is just to allow my left hand to hang, take my left shoulder back and go into the waiter position, and you can see automatically that the hand is opened up here, and then I turn back into the shot and basically just slap the other hand. And in order to do that without making a karate chop, I have to turn the hand back down. So by doing that, I'm squaring the club face up for impact. So if you just think you're going to slap the ball's bottom with your right hand, that should do everything for you. If you do that with the golf club, you can actually see that this rotation then that you do at the start of your downswing will actually turn not only the hand down, it will cause this slight bowing in the left wrist automatically. So all I've got a feeling of is turning that back down, opening my shoulders, and then I have a square club face going through the golf ball, and my slice is gone. If you can get a neutral path and a square club face, you're hitting a straight golf shot. And it's all basically down to the same nature, repeating these three simple movements: backswing, sit and turn, and getting the hand to come down and keep the club, or get the club back onto the same angle as your spine, and that will get it back square on the ball. All together now, up, down, you can see the club face turning, open up and hit the golf ball. A straight shot's a beautiful thing. Hope this has helped you. If it has, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that. The little bell will give you notifications when the next video is published. I shall leave my philosophy on golf up here in the left-hand corner. You can download that. I'll be back very shortly. Look after yourselves. Until the next time. Bye-bye.